We're live.
You know, you should leave that sitting over there because if you tap
the table,
it picks up.
Yeah, that's true. True. Thursday. What is this right here? Thursday. Okay, y'all. Hey. Welcome. You're far too kind. Thank you for tuning in once again. We'll do the introductions as always that we get to 100 viewers, but we want to at first say thank you. And is our disclaimer at the bottom of it already? Mm-hmm. Okay. You guys know what it is. Disclaimer is I'm not a financial advisor, and no part am part of any geographical or political group. I am just here to report the news. My friends will get on here and report the intel. Tonight, we have a huge show. This is going to be epic. So you guys stay tuned. We're going to tie a lot of things together. And I will tell you the name of the show as soon as we do our introductions. We're at 124 subscribers, huh?
I think it's on your community tab. Isn't that what you sent me?
It is, but I mean, I always tell them the name of the show no matter what. I mean, that's what I do. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we're at 140. Should we wait till 150 or should we get going? Are you on the tab? Are you on the thing?
My connection sucks. Hold on. What do you mean? I'm not in
the
chat.
You on my phone?
It says internet not available. Give me a second.
Okay. We'll give it 153. Let me get mine going. How are you guys tonight? So good to see all of y'all. Always, it's a pleasure. Thank you. Each and every one of you guys that's here. Let's do this. So excited about tonight's intel. 174 live. I got Babe live. Who else I got
Metro.
Here? What up, Metro?
Metroid.
Ow, these commercials are killing me.
How do you turn on the volume?
I thought I did. No, thanks. We're at record numbers already.
Is your volume on the side of it?
It's right here. These are two buttons. Oh, it's right here. Sorry.
Yeah.
My bad. Thank you, Ms. BB, for technical support. 200 people. Okay. You guys see I got the fresh. You ready to do this?
I'm ready.
Ladies first.
I am April BB.
And I am Mr. Brando. And I want to welcome all of you to the status of the reinstatement of the Iraqi Dinar IQD. Now, before we get started, I want to clear up a couple things. Last time we went way too long, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
2 hours.
2 hours. It was an epic show. If you didn't tune into it, go back, listen. It was epic. But we were tired. So we're going to try to keep this condensed down to at least an hour. A little bit over, but no more about an hour and 10 minutes. So with that, I'm going to get to the news. We have intel. We have live calls. I need to go ahead and do one thing before we get started. I need to open up the live chat. The live phone calls, and then we will commence. And you guys know what this happens. When I do this, it's on and popping. So now, calls are ready. We're ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and first off, go ahead and start with the news. Now, the thing about the news is this. There's a lot of conflicting stuff going on out there, and I want you guys to know that I'm trying to give you everything I can, but if I miss something, you can always bring it up in chat, and we will get to it. First off, the CEO of Siemens, Iraq. Siemens is now getting a new Iraq government and looking to finalize contracts to help boost Iraq's power production, the time for summertime peak demand. Now, the name of this show is Breaking Down the walls that come tumbling down. Now, I've taken you to the point where we're connecting the dots. I've taken you to the points where that we're ready? Okay, I've taken you to the points where we're just giving a little bit of news. Now I'm going to take you to the point where now you're going to see the walls tumbling down. Can they see the thumbnail?
Of course.
If you look at the thumbnail, you're going to see half of it is a geographical map of Iraq and all of its surrounding partners. And on the right, it is a picture of the CBI. The reason why I put both of those up there because we have several countries that are coming on board. And on the right today, they took down the pillars in front of the CBI bank. And I thought that was noteworthy because those walls keep tumbling down. Now, in the wake of political destabilizing protests throughout southern Iraq. Last summer, Prime Minister Abadi government announced a multi-billion-dollar memorabilia of understanding with Germany. Now, it's funny. There's one with Germany and one with GE. Now, the one obviously with Siemens is not done, and they have not come up with an MOU for that, and they're hoping to get that done quickly. Siemens is still poised to play a central role in Iraq. In short term, Iraq's new electricity minister, Al-Khatib, says he is focused on signing contracts based on fast-track elements of Siemens' roadmap, as well as projects proposed by GE. So what does that tell you? It tells you that they're going to work in conjunction with GE. There's going to be, hopefully, a better electrical grid. Again, it all takes you off of Iran and their stranglehold on Iraq and allows our country to be able to have a better sustainable electrical grid, which are basic services and goods for its people. Qatar announces readiness to invest $1 billion. So if you look at the map, Qatar, a little small country, they're willing to put up $1 billion. And if you guys want to note this, I told you this before, Qatar was one of the only countries out there that was going to be within budget because of oil production. So for them to be able to invest $1 billion is huge. The news supports that ideology, and it allows us to understand furthermore that people are breaking down the doors, breaking down the walls to get in Iraq. Comments?
No.
Good?
I'm listening.
This comes after a visit by Iraqi President Mrs. Saleh with a high-level government delegation to Doha on Thursday. He discussed with Al-Tahani bilateral relations between the two countries and means of upgrading them in political, economic, transport, and energy fields. Turkey intended to raise the volume of trade. Now, remember, Turkey's always been kind of a thorn in Iraq's side. They got on their butt before about wanting to bomb and get rid of north of the PUKs and to do all these bad things out there to inhibit our investment. But Turkey today says to raise the volume of trade. So the Turkish ambassador in Iraq and Fayet, I'm saying it wrong, Yadils, said Friday that his country intended to raise the volume of trade to 20 billion. So remember, we're losing trade with Iran. And a lot of people think that Iran was the only trade partner with Iraq. It is not. Turkey and other countries are stepping forward right now, and they're going to put up 20 billion. You're only losing 13 billion with Iran, and the U.S. government came in earlier this year and told them to pick up 17% of their oil revenue, oil projection. So all of this is major, major. He said at the press conference, objective in trade between the two countries is $20 billion in the first stage, and don't mind to raise them to the weaknesses of the case, raise obstacles to trade. Meaning that what they're saying to you is, we don't mind changing things, but if we change things, we have to make sure that we are all on board and we are all unified. Now, U.S.-China, this is a John thing. U.S.-China, because of this is on CNBC. I'll see if Ms. Beebe can post it. Everybody criticized this last time talking about China they didn't say anything about China. They didn't say anything about China. Well, the reason why they didn't say anything about China because China was in the cabinet report.
You about to read this?
Yes, meetings. Oh, I can sit this like this if you want it.
Look at there.
Woo-hoo!
So snazzy.
I'm fancy, y'all. Look, baby bought me a new stand.
Don't tell everybody.
I know, right? She spoils.
No money.
She spoils me.
Money.
She got like $50 gazillion in it. Anyway, meetings about U.S.-China trade war are wrapping up, and the U.S. trade delegation, they went an extra day, which was majorly important. The Asian stock markets jumped. Now, that's going to be privy to something else we're going to talk about a little bit about Vietnam, but the stock markets jumped after talks were extended for an unscheduled third day, feeling optimism that the two largest economies can strive to take a trade deal. A meeting wound down in Beijing on Tuesday evening.
Trump tweeted, talks with China are going very well.
Interesting.
Don't close it.
Okay. I'm going to do that. Okay.
I want you to
What's the other button?
Is this one the share?
Yep, copy.
Send in messenger. I'm supposed to be number one.
You are number one, but you're not number one in groups because I'm in all these Iraqi trade groups.
There you go.
Done. So if you're wondering where that announcement was, there it is right there. John hit that on the post. There are big trade talks going on. Now, from my friend Miss Elizabeth, who I dearly love, she brought to my attention that Iraq is now going to start using Visa soon. Iraq Communication Ministry announced completing the technical matters related to electronic Visa, ministerial sources said. Now, if you have Visa and you have MasterCard.
But they've been doing a deal. 2018, they was putting in the ATM machines.
Right.
And also in 2018, they talked about Visa.
But if you remember, I don't think we ever talked about it really like you and I, but all of basically a lot of the ATM cards that are out there in the world are MasterCard. Visa basically now is doing just the world for credit, okay? Visa now is coming in and saying, we're going to extend credit to Iraqi citizens, which is totally different than MasterCard. Okay. So major link up there. If MasterCard, I say if you see American Express, you're off the chain. Or Discover. I don't think Discover will ever go to Iraq, but I could see definitely American Express.
MasterCard and Visa are connected to debit cards. So they're trying to mirror the system here. Okay. You're not going to see a Discover card as a debit card. You see what I'm saying?
But it doesn't specify debit in any of the report.
Right, but it makes sense for Visa and MasterCard to be in the forefront.
Right. To be like husband and wife, right?
Right. I mean, they're GOAT, right?
Right.
They're the main ones because that transcends not only in credit but banking.
Okay. Thank you so much because I don't know all about that stuff. I have a EBT card.
What's an EBT card?
When you get like you
don't have no EBT card. You don't knock it off.
Okay, since the Islamic Republic of Iran entered into the second package of sanctions imposed by the United States, which includes two important sectors, are the energy sector, which we just talked about, or the banking sector, and raised some questions on the impact of the Iraqi economy if the exclusion of trade between Iran and Iraq excludes some countries, including Iraq, for 90 days to settle those accounts. Now, if it's deemed for money and the exchange rate is a positive one, and I mean the price of the dinar against the dollar, the higher the demand for the dinar, the higher the value of the national currency, and the increase in volume of foreign reserves in the central bank, and this will enhance the ability of the central bank to defend the dinar against any future dollar demands, especially that take care cash ayat cover the need of the country more than 9 months. This exceeds the standards set by international financial institutions. Now, there should be a unit of measurement of the two currencies, and most accurate currency is the dollar, but will the dollar accept the dollar? Will the dollar accept the dollar? Is the criterion for determining the value of the two currency. This is what we will touch in the coming days after the continuation of the Iraq-Iran agreement. So again, it's not a bad thing that they keep trading, because what they're trying to do is make both their currencies go up. Now, I'll tell you guys this again. Do not go to the exchange with any real. The real is bad. But in strengthening the real against the dollar with Iraq, if the two trade in dinar, it strengthens the dinar's position, okay? It strengthens the dinar's position based upon trade value. Remember, all currency is supply times velocity, meaning that if I have so much supply, the velocity demands more, it makes the value increase, right? Baghdad's intermediate secretariat announced the lifting of the gates, and this is all part of the thumbnail and concrete blocks from the vicinity of the central bank. Now, why would they lift the barricades in front of the central bank? A number of streets in the capital, Baghdad, the statement of the secretariat, Baghdad, in coordination with the Baghdad Operations Command, began lifting concrete blocks and the iron gates, the vicinity of the central bank of Iraq. Now, again, this is all about opening up the green zone. This is all about making the country accessible to the normal people. This is big news because if you have accessibility, then you have a sovereign and free nation. You can't have one without the other. Does that make sense? You can't be free, but you can't go to certain areas. It's like us living here in Houston, but I can't go to Pasadena. But I can go to, Cyprus. It doesn't make sense. In this statement, they're saying that you have accessibility to the central bank, okay?
And I posted that article earlier about China in the community tab.
Okay. Now, this is the last article I have before we get to questions and we start the intel. We are 15 minutes early. It says paralysis and slow death inside of the parliament. Now, this is going to sound kind of negative, but you can take it either way. what is currently living in the House of Representatives can not be removed from the case of paralysis and slow death as a result of continuing political intersection between the main groups, which are also invited on themselves, where the differences are evident within the Shiite component on the candidate of the interior and the same within the Sunni component of the defense and Kurdish component of the justice is the other, which is seen by the number of the stream of wisdom, MP al-Abudi, reason for the need to accelerate the resolution of these differences through finding common point, meet everyone, and that a larger umbrella contains. Now, what they're basically telling you right here is that if they continue on the path that they're on, it's going to be a slow death, meaning that you can't keep dragging this on for a year after we set the government, because if they only have, I think, an 8-year term, you're going to waste a big portion of your time just seating the government. They've got to get on the democracy ball and learn how to get along. Mm-hmm. Now, everything can't be sectarian. I mean, a Shiite doesn't need to hold this position. Whatever doesn't need to hold this position. This guy doesn't need to hold this position. It needs to be for the person that can be the best for the job, right? Now, here's some food for thought. And this is just something I came up with that I thought was fun. If you look at the map on the thumbnail, the lira by Turkey is 0.19 cents USD. Syria dinar is 0.0019. Jordanian dinar, which is a major trade partner now with Iraq, or coming up soon, is 71 cents. Saudi rial at 0.27 cents. Qatar rial is at 27 cents. The Iranian rial is worthless. Imagine that. So everybody else you want to trade with is worth something, even though it might not be positive, all the way positive. But if you go back to Iran, they're worthless. Okay? Now, this is the only little thing I threw into it. The Kuwait dinar against the USD is basically $1 equals $3.30. Now, if you go back in the archives, you will notice that before the delegation went to the IMF and they went to the US banks, they said, we want to hold a value at the same pre-war times, which was $3.22. If you take into it inflationary measures, do the math. $3.22 plus all their additives, gold, natural gas, sweet crude, the regular gas. You can do the math yourself and figure out exactly what the dinar is worth. Okay?
Have you did the math?
Yeah, I have. And I have breaking news for Monday that's going to be a report that I got from Germany.
Tell me what you think what it came to. Oh, okay. Okay.
Because I like you.
Can I put in my notice?
Yeah.
I can put in my 2-week notice?
Yeah. Tell them you quit. Don't y'all do that. Now, I'm going to the questions. Okay. Please mind me while I'm putting this on mute. What are the questions?
Archbishop said, what's happening with the Zim?
Zim is, okay, y'all, listen. There's a lot of question about Zim. John and I have talked exclusively about this, about tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. I'm going to pose this to y'all, and John's going to tell you something different. Remember, intel doesn't make it gospel. What gospel is what you know, okay? Gospel means this. If you are international, it doesn't matter what tier you are. A trade's a trade. So I can take my Zim into any bank and trade it in. Now, I'll get all kinds of arguments and haters are going to tell me I'm wrong or whatever. I'll take it, okay? But international is international. John will tell you later on about Zim and where its components fall, about hydrating banks, and making those funds available for the rest of the world. Okay? I'm going to leave it at that. That's not my word. It's hers.
Oh, and you have a first-timer in the live chat.
Who?
Corey Willard.
Who's Corey?
Corey, he says his first time in your live chat.
Corey, what up, Corey?
Figure you give him a shout.
H-Town proud. April BB, your cocktail, if it is a cocktail, looks good.
Oh, I already answered her.
Oh!
I told her it's a jalapeno lime margarita with a champagne float.
What up from Oregon? Anthony, what's up? Hey, John, I'm looking for questions, y'all. Hey, Ed, I'm trying to allow John a few moments to get to where he needs to be so he can call in. Wobble.
He said, don't forget Jordan's still holding $3 to $5 billion of frozen Iraq assets next month, we'll see the opening of the trade borders between the two countries.
But remember, Jordan just pledged to give them a whole bunch of money also. So those trade wars are just posturing for a political stance. I believe Jordan will concede and give them back their money. And Jordan will want to open those trade routes because if I just told you before what their currency's worth, it behooves Jordan to trade with Iraq. Okay?
Peaches said World Bank said Iraq will be in its highest Arab economic growth in 2019.
I agree. Who said, where are you? What?
Peaches 11 at 7:12.
Okay, I'm looking at Kwanzi. Blessings for Katrina, mother of 12 children. Hey, John. Lisa Rockford. John. Samuel. Hi, mother. Willette. You said nonprofit can exchange next week at the bank. Can we exchange that? Willette, I never said that. I don't know what nonprofits you're talking about. I apologize. What's wrong?
Nothing.
Anthony.
Zymus said EBT. See, you got people saying that.
What's EBT?
That's what you said earlier.
What does EBT mean?
Yeah, I don't know, but that's why you were like, I have an EBT card. I was like, what's that?
Oh, EBT. Okay, yeah, I'll tell you EBT card.
But see, look, he said EBT.
Oh, EBT. Okay, I don't mean to make fun of nobody, okay? An EBT card is where you don't have any money and like you go to the store and you buy groceries. It's like a Lone Star card. Does that make sense? A Lone Star card. I wasn't making fun of nobody. I'm just saying I have an EBT card because my wife only allows me a certain amount of money every day.
He does not. He's fibbing. It's called budget.
Welcome, Pete. I do so what? EBT, same as you. Sorry, Anthony, I'm on LinkedIn locked for the same picture.
I can't wait.
Let me borrow the EBT. Yeah, say this. My EBT card is $14 a month.
That's one meal for you.
John, thanks, man.
Miss Anthony said, what rates are you hearing? I guess it's for a question for John. What rates are you hearing about rupiah?
Okay, John will get to rupiah. Tonight. Hey, John, I have some questions for you tonight, Corey.
They want rates on rupiah and dong.
We told you dong entering at $1, going up to $2 of change. John, okay. Another thing we got to get with y'all is about a lot of this stuff we go over and over and over and over. If you guys want to know all the up-to-date John's rates and stuff like that, I will copy paste that to Mr. Brando on Facebook. So that way you guys don't bog him down with questions that he's already answered. And that will help out a whole bunch, okay? So I'll put that on Mr. Brando on Facebook's page. So if you want to start a thread about, you can start it now if you want to. Go to Facebook, Mr. Brando. You'll see my locks and everything. And go in there and put John rates, and John will answer, okay? Still loving Frank Q. Thumbs up. Hello, Michelle. I answered your question, Corey, on the post chat there regarding the strategy.
When the RV goes right, the ones who are paying attention will get good rates versus the ones who don't pay attention at all. They're just hold their currency. I have a few friends that don't follow this at all. Shake my head. And that's Metroid.
I will say this. It's going to be a float, whether dirty or comprised. I agree with you. If you go in and exchange all your money at one time and your strategy is not complete in your thinking, your monies will not be utilized. Your GMROI will not be utilized because you may miss a dollar value. Because remember, we talked about this. Currency was never meant to float. So if it has a float to it, it's going to go up 2%. We know that because of the IMF and it's pegging from the dollar to the STR basket. Mm-hmm. Those are gospel things. We know those things. Now, if it's a dirty float and there is no ceiling, if you trade in everything off the first jump, then you'll miss out possibly on a blessing. That's all I can say there.
Say that one more time. The last thing.
Okay. If you trade in everything off the jump, meaning that it comes out at X, and you say X is good for me, here's all my dinar.
But what if X is 350?
Then it's 350. But what if it jumps to $6? I mean, do you count one of the oldest transcribable
blessings on blessings on blessings. I mean, it just
proverbs in the world is a bird in the hand is worth more than two in the bush. But that's like buyer beware, investor beware. Go ahead, Beth. Tell them.
I mean, I'm just saying, Everybody has their gold number.
I have mine. You have yours.
Right.
I'll answer that, Stefan. There are no 800 numbers. I will say that 5 million times. There are no 800 numbers.
What's the 800 number?
If you want to get jacked for your currency and you want to call some fools, they're going to tell you, hey, meet me at the bank over here off of Smith and Franklin. It's not open, but you can come exchange your money. We'll come gladly rob you. Don't call 800 numbers. Don't let anybody know you hold this currency. And more so, don't let anybody know how much currency you hold.
Right. Stop advertising you got bricks and half of bricks and all.
Yeah, y'all stop telling people that. There are a lot of evil people in this world, for real. I only got 40 bricks.
No, he don't. I hold it, and he got 5,000 dinars. That's it. That's it. That's all he's allowed to see.
This is going real soon. Paint Mixer, we agree. Or Paint Mixer, I'll say this.
Babe Gibson says EBT equals food stamps.
It is food stamps. Babe knows she in Texas. Shit. I got a bunch of food stamps. We eating good.
We don't have no food in the refrigerator.
Mm-hmm. We got ice cubes and some spoiled milk.
Okay. That's food, y'all. $14.
And jalapeno margarita. Ouch. Yeah, Anthony Herb is going to suffer. And later on, we're doing if y'all want to ever go to our couples channel, I'll just do this now. It's a shameless plug. We have a couples channel.
In the description.
Go to our couples channel. Tonight, we're going to do a spicy noodle challenge.
I'm scared.
I have the same drink in my hands. Sylvie, way to go. Hot is best. Hot, hot, hot.
Mm-mm.
I don't have dong. Should I wait till the RV? Dwayne, John will tell you.
Sylvie says she has the same drink in her hand.
I know. I just read that. Baby.
Oh, I'm sorry. Delay. It's the margarita.
Dwayne, I will say this. John will tell you differently. His intel tells him differently. But they all go closely together. If you want to know my own strategy, I'll tell you now. My own strategy is to exchange a certain amount in accordance to what I want to buy in dong. I will go ahead and purchase dong from the same institution, pick up immediately, and that money will be used for my exchange for dong. So I want to take whatever I have available, put it aside, at that moment, get back in line and say, I want to go buy some Vietnamese dong.
Gotcha.
Okay? Spreading the knowledge. Johnson's don't wait.
Yeah, you can get dong fairly cheap.
Cheap, like
you go
$50
to Chase,
a half mil.
You can go to the Chase Bank too. Just
Real is mad because they spent money on it. Listen to the intel Iran means. I ran from the cops when I tried to exchange it. Metroid, damn. I mean, darn. Rates on Rapia and Dong, we've covered that. See the Alain Hortz interview on Fox. They only talk about mass arrests as John did. Yeah, he did. He covered that, y'all. And he's going to come on. He has like 1 minute, and I'm going to call him. Great things from China trade deal. Paint mixture, I agree. Y'all don't understand the magnitude of the... First of all, understand this. China is paying on an average per day $4 billion in tariffs to bring their goods to America. I'll give you this analogy. If I go to the bank and we buy a house, okay? The house is worth $500,000, okay? And I buy the house and we live here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I can't pay it back. You and I have a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I go buy a house that costs $5 million and I can't pay it back, who has the problem? The bank.
Because the bank is not in the business of real estate.
No, they're not. They're in the business. They're in two businesses: deposits and loans. That's it. That's all a bank can do. Their two goods and services are three: investment, if you believe in them, deposits, and loans. That's it.
Shout out to Brian. It's his first time from Montana. Welcome.
Oh, hold on. Peaches says we're gurus. If I'm a guru, kick me in the ass. I just read you the news. John, are you in position for a call? Mr. B, if there are none of the major tier banks located in your state, where would you go to exchange? Anthony, I would get all the gas money I could, go to the first major city I could find, and look up what banks exchange foreign currency, open up an account, and do it quietly, deposit my exchange monies, and have that accessibility to wherever you live. That's what I would do.
I'm laughing at Mr. Carl. He said, "You go, girl, with that margarita."
Oh,
there's John.
All right, y'all. Now we're gonna limit this time to John because John doesn't have a bunch of time.
First time for Colin and Nikki live.
Hey, John. Zyman says I have food stamps.
John, can you hear us?
John and I split a pack of soups earlier. So, John, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Now, John has some nuggets to drop. And no, you can't have John's email. No, don't contact John. John is an active participant. If John wants you to have it, he'll post it in here. No, John, what I'm saying is that if you want people to have your email or your Facebook or your Twitter, you'll advertise it. If you don't, please reserve all those questions to Mr. Brando on Facebook or to me directly. I will screen those things for John because John does not want to be in the limelight. Right, John?
No, I don't.
Okay. Now, Johnny, are you ready to go or you need a couple minutes?
No, I'm ready to go. Can you help maybe field some of the questions so we can organize this?
Yes. Okay. So very first thing is a lot of people have a very bad understanding of what first tier, second tier, third tier, fourth tier is. Could you please explain what tiers mean to the general public?
Yeah, we touched on this the other night, but that's fine. I would encourage everybody to take notes just so we're all on the same page, just going forward. Okay, in the private placement that I'm in, there's 4 tiers. Tier 1 has to do with presidents, ambassadors, people like Buffett, Gates, Obama, people like that.
Royalty.
Royalty, exactly. Tier 2 is admirals, generals, upper military rank. Okay. Tier 3 is what I've been blessed in through Don. That's churches, nonprofit groups, people like that scattered around the country. Tier 4 is ostensibly the best I can see because I'm not super versed on that, but it's the more informed public that has a little bit of a leg up on the average person on the street, and then it goes public.
Okay. Second question, John, is what is happening right now with what you know? I'm going to covet this with what's going on to your best knowledge and the intel you receive from your contacts to inform the people of what is happening right now with the dinar.
Okay, so I'm going to couch this very carefully because I don't want anybody holding my feet to the fire about specific dates or any of that kind of stuff, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You and I talked earlier today. My dad used to say a great phrase, no news sometimes is good news, right?
Right.
Or all's quiet on the Western Front.
Right.
The intel I got today, to the levels that they're up the upper echelon, it's pretty quiet, which I take to be a good thing. In my humble opinion, that's a good thing because usually, like if you see certain movie scenes when there's nothing happening, all of a sudden, boom, something happens. And so all I can tell the folks is that don't be discouraged because you're not hearing the big boom. That just means, in my belief, to the best of my knowledge, that's coming inevitably. The time frames I'm not in control of. The circumstances we're dealing with, a terrific administration and a president that is very unpredictable, but yet has a very calculated way of doing things. And it might not make any sense to us, but then just like the way the Lord's timing works at the right time, it'll all come together.
Okay. Next question is, do you have any special guests with you tonight?
I do, but they're not going to go on the call tonight. They're standing alongside me.
Okay.
And,
can we say hello to them, not knowing their name? But I don't like using anonymity as a form of a shield, but I understand that you're in a position right now where you're not able to say names because you're in worship. So I appreciate that. So God bless and tell them thank you. Is there anything they'd like to tell the public that they can digest easily right now?
Sure. Can I just confer with them a second?
Sure.
Is there anything you want to tell them?
Questions.
No. My friend is kind of like in the position of being sort of, as a man of God, sort of like a night watchman, where he's kind of protecting the backside or the blind side and prophesying prayer over these things behind the scenes. So he's kind of just keeping mum about it, but I think he would echo a lot of the same sentiments I said because we talked about it earlier today.
Okay. I've got to answer one question. Gary St. Laurent said you're going to address oil prices and how they affect the current situation. Well, remember, Gary, that oil prices directly affect how Iraq runs its budget because the country is 80 or 90% on oil. So if they can't meet budget, and if you've noticed, gas prices have slightly risen in the last few days, and that's because what you've seen for oil futures. Now, it doesn't mean that we're in a back position. What it does mean is that they're stabilizing the position for the future, and they're about at like 55, 54 bucks right now or something like that. And that is a big deal to us because remember the last time they talked about revaluation was about 2012. Oil prices then were about 55, 56 bucks. It was the right time. And so oil does play a major role with a country that's 90% dependent on oil. So yeah, oil prices are a big deal right now. Go ahead, John. Do you think it could potentially occur this January 29th? Were you the one who said that, John?
So we discussed possible windows of timelines on Wednesday night. I never confirmed that exact date guaranteed. Absolutely not. I would be foolish to do that. Anybody who tells you they know the date, you should immediately ignore them because they don't know. All I can tell people is the window of time. We've discussed this, that I'm asking people to pray for my mentor on the private placement side because once that gets activated, the public is in my humble opinion, very not far behind that. I can tell you that we're in the window. That's all I can say for sure. I never guarantee a date. It would be irresponsible of me to do that.
Thanks, John. It says, Pat, hello, family. I remember you reading a while back that per their constitution, there's a requirement for Article 140 HCL. Have you heard otherwise? I just can't find that article to share with you. Pat, yeah, if you've noticed the articles lately that come out of Iraq, they specifically talked about Article 140, and they specifically talked about the hydrocarbon law as opposed to the national oil law. So yeah, both of them are under committee and both are under revision, and those things will happen soon. And they've already talked about it, so it's nothing I'm hiding from you guys. If I can find those old articles, you got to go through those old posts. I note those, but I may not just note the exact links. Is that what it's called? Links. So you'll have to go through some old videos and find that. John, one question that another person had was, do you, I don't know how to put that. He said, well, we've answered that, healthy choice. Okay, John.
Yes.
Remember we talked about earlier about our time frame being from a certain time to a certain time, and then we had another friend say because of the ISX that they thought between now and April. What did you hear about scheduling for our president and possibly what was going on with why would they clear their schedule? Could you just touch on that for a second?
Yeah, I've got to be careful with.
Okay. Let me put that a different way. If there were meetings set for somebody right now, were those meetings cleared for the week or were they kept?
They were cleared for the week because of the primary issue that's being discussed in the media incessantly.
Okay, perfect. That's all I want you to tell. In the Northwest, will the government reopen next week? Okay, y'all listen. First level elites cash in or around the 15th. Okay, first of all, y'all, let me explain something to you. If a currency is international, it's international, okay? The elites are only those people that know what you know. You are an elite in a certain sense of the word. The shutdown is a mass since March HR 16th. The wall, okay, y'all, let me get back to the wall. The wall supposedly, John, can you tell them about the wall being paid for in another bill real quick? I wasn't really clear how you said it, but could you please explain to me?
Yeah, and I want to confer with my intel on this 1 sec. Just give me 1 second.
Okay.
So can I
Mr. Brando, maybe
Yeah.
John have new intel
So
to discuss with us.
Okay, so I'm conferring with one of my military contacts that's in the back tonight, and they've been gracious enough to help. So I just wanted to verify the information before I publicly said it. Yes, the funding for the wall was already baked into the omnibus bill that the president signed. How long ago was it? 6 months or 6-8 months ago? Something. I have to go back and look it up, but it's searchable. It's not recently, but it was the largest military spending bill in U.S. history, and part of that cost was to absorb the cost of the wall. So
So John, a dumb question would be border security was pre-thought of way before this event as we're looking at it today.
Everything our president does is calculated.
Right.
Nothing is winging it at all. Period.
Our rule of thumb is nothing by accident, right?
Correct.
Okay. So is there any intel you want to drop that could be juicy, or you want to with frame?
I want to go in a different direction tonight because I don't want to, because I can't give dates of when things are going to happen.
Right.
I have contacts. I'm blessed to have contacts in and around the White House, but they don't tell me exact dates. Like, things just show up. You and I have talked offline.
Right.
And just like the event, nothing, and then something. Like you and I today talked, and we didn't have much of anything today, and then all of a sudden something came along. So the way I want to explain this to people is, I really encourage the community to think of it like this, okay? And I'm just going to use a visual. Forgive me if it's not the most glamorous visual, but it's the best I can think of on short notice. It's kind of like every one of us has gone through puberty, right?
Right.
We all go through it at different times. Some go through it at a younger age, at an older age, or a normal period. But one day we wake up and boom, we're a little taller, something's developed. That's the best way I can put it. Things have changed, and sometimes it's subtle and sometimes it's striking. That's how I encourage everybody to look at this situation. They're going to think, because they're reading gurus or they're trying to read quote unquote intel. By the way, guys, the intel that you're reading on these articles, what I've been told by my group is it's very misleading on purpose. They did the same thing when the Kuwaiti dinar revalued. They put out a lot of misinformation and fluff to try to draw people off the scent, because they don't want people to know the truth, because they don't want people to be informed, because they don't want people to be empowered and ultimately be rich. When you're independent of the government, you're a free-thinking person. You're not dependent on them. That's what they don't want. That's what I can tell you. So look at the situation like financial puberty. We're going to wake up one day, boom, it's going to happen. But don't think it just happened. It's been pre-planned, it's been calculated over a succession of weeks, months, and years.
So there's a plan, what you're saying. There's a direct plan.
There's absolutely a plan, 100%.
Okay, and so, John, can we touch on this real quick? How big could you ask your military contact is Israel taking Iraq off of their terrorist or their non trade group? How big is that?
Okay, let me ask. Hold on a second.
Okay.
What he's asking is how big or significant is Iran taking
Welcome, Henry.
Iraq off the terrorist sanction organization?
Oh, it's a huge fellows in the sense of the demand, the increasing demand of the dinar, and it's going to be a great critical support event in this whole journey.
Yeah. Okay.
But a very big event.
Sure. Okay. Are you there, Brando?
I'm right here, babe.
So I was just kind of getting the contents with him. So he's saying that it's not the single biggest event, but it's a significant event in a forward push of the dinar. It's almost like, in birthing terms, the second to last final push before the baby arrives. It's a significant leap in the process.
Can your contact tell us what is the final push without giving too much?
Yeah, well, he wants to know what you think the final push or the last break in the system might be. Stand by.
Okay. Skills, I'm trying to keep the phone as close to the mic as possible. I'm sorry.
Well, let me put it this way. It's not a full complement of a parliamentary, complement of officials. It's going to be, I think one of the bigger things is going to be this Chinese trade difference. Because I think baked into all that is going to be the idea of rebirthing these currencies and reviving these currencies.
Okay. You still there, Brando?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay. Thanks everybody for waiting. I just want to get the intel. It's not the ultimate end all Moab of what's the word I'm looking for, of the Great Surrender, we'll call it, but it is a significant happening, and that is the China trade deal. Now, you asked me a question earlier about any intel I can share. We covered a lot of things for those who were listening on Wednesday, as you recall. I'm going to say that those events that we discussed, just people don't be surprised if you turn on the news and you start hearing some of those things, in my humble opinion, start to go down. Don't be shocked. I'll put it that way.
And who was that? Black Archie Bunker says, John, you need your own show.
Make me an offer.
We're talking about doing a show, and we're talking about doing something later. But I would say this to the Black Archie Bunker: if I do a show like that, and John and I decide to do that, it won't be free. So if you want to do something like that, and no offense, John and I have the same thing. It's not that we want you to pay to play, but the information that he would give you is not for the average consumer.
Right.
So we weed out a lot of people that we know are not in this to be in it for not trolling. They're in it because they're true investors. And if we decide to do that at a later date, we're talking about it. And if John decides to do it, his anonymity would become more precise, because I don't want him exposed to the things that he's seeing that he doesn't like. Because he's a friend, and he's been a friend, and he's been A1 since day one, and all he's ever done is give us the right information.
Hold on one second, Brando.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, my colleague here is making a really good point for everybody to know, since we're talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
People need to understand two things. Well, a number of things, but right now in this context, two things. One, we talked about this before, Brando. This is a faith-based investment. You can't look at this as a stock that you're, in and out. Thank you very much. This is as much about faith as it is about finances, because if we're not stewarding it correctly, we can lose it that quickly. Mm-hmm. Secondly, the financial implications of this process are just one of a series of chain reactions. You have to consider the geopolitical climate, how this affects other countries around the world, how this is going to circulate to other countries who may not be immediately affected. It's going to make its way back to the U.S. So you have to look at this as a complete circle, and how it affects people economically, emotionally, politically, environmentally. There are a whole sequence of interplay between this investment opportunity, or this blessing, beyond just the financial realm. It's just important for people to realize that.
Okay, John, Terry says, how important is Davos?
It's not. That's why the president's not going. And I think if you guys remember, I am gonna say one thing about that. Thank you for that question. I know we discussed Davos, and I mentioned that the president's probably not going to go. He announced it in the news today that he's not going on his Twitter feed. So if you guys go onto the president's Twitter feed, he mentions, his polite decline of going to Davos. It's not really that important. That's why he's here attending to these other issues that are more significantly important. That much I can tell you.
Black Archie Bunker, yeah, I need a couple dollars. I'll open up Super Chat. You can go ahead and throw some money my way, and I'll be glad to get me like a hot Happy Meal and a...
No, you're supposed to buy equipment.
Oh, I'm
hungry. You're missing the point. Whatever you get, April's going to get, remember?
I already know. And whatever April gets, you're going to get. So it doesn't matter. I'm the vessel. It doesn't matter at that point.
Come to California, you get half, BB.
Hey, that's my state.
She's from San Diego, John. She's from San Diego.
Born and raised.
I know. Touche. Is it okay if I chime in on something, Brando, you didn't ask yet?
Go.
Look, guys, I want to say this, and I'm only going to say this one time. Please listen. Please write the notes. I understand there's a lot of confusion out there about this thing. I get it. I've been on this investment roller coaster years. I've been on all the guru sites. Everybody's claiming stuff. I get it. It's confusing. I empathize, literally. There are no 800 numbers. What would you need an 800 number for? If you're buying currency from Safe Dinar or Exchange America or your bank, they're going to contact you. Trust me. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I have a friend who bought currency from Exchange America 2 years ago. She's getting calls and emails from currency places she didn't even do business with that want to buy this on the cheap. So I told her, I said, if it's not worth anything, why do they want it so badly? Which is sort of a self-explanatory question. Okay? So you don't need to worry about 800 numbers. Get that out of your head. The ZIM, I know that's a topic of debate. All I can tell you that I do know is it's used as a form of hydration for, as I said to you before.
Hold on, Johnny. John, hold on real quick. Skills, listen to what he's saying, Skills. Go ahead, John.
What I do know is that the ZIM is being used for the private placements to hydrate the banks as a mechanism, as a metaphor, so to speak, for the other currencies in the SDR basket to go. It's like the ribbon cutter, if you will. I have no idea if this thing, and my intel has said the same, we have no idea if this thing's going to go public or when. So I don't even want to speculate on that. All I can tell you is what I do know definitively, and I'm not going to lie to people. I know some of this is not what everybody wants to hear, but at least I'm going to be honest with you about what I do know and what I don't know. I'll tell you, or I'll find out to the best of my ability. There was a question about rupiah. Rupiah is going at the same, all the currencies are going at the same time, period. Dong, dinar, rupiah, the North and South Korean won, they're all going at the same time. Somebody asked about the rate. Not really entirely sure. I've already discussed the rates the other day about the Dong and dinar, and that's what I'm sure of. I'm not 100% sure about what the rate is for the rupiah. My best educated, humble opinion is that it's going to be somewhere on par with the Dong. That's as much as I can tell you.
Okay. Back in the day, do they have our numbers from them? Yeah, you guys gotta understand something. If you purchase currency from Exchange of America, Safe Dinar, all your dinar or currency is categorized by a serial number. Okay, they know it's sold, so that way they can count it when they're. That's how they value currency. If supply, meaning that I have $1 million out, but I've only loaned out 200,000. I know that people want my money. The supply will meet the velocity. Does that make sense? Mean that you guys, I don't mean to keep telling you all the same thing, but I only have John for a few minutes. I got him for 8 more minutes. So you guys gotta understand that you guys are asking the same question. I'm not trying to get on you, but I'm going to tell you this, that if the money's worth a nominal amount, the external amount is different than the nominal amount. Does that make sense? Meaning that what I see it on paper doesn't mean what people pay for it. It's like saying a widget. If I have widgets for $1 and I can sell them for $5, why would I sell them for $1? You know what I mean? I'm in this to make money, not friends. I mean, honestly.
Hey, Brando, I just want to chime in on one thing you said earlier. Yeah, as far as the dinar goes, I recommend, it doesn't change the value of it. You're correct. But I recommend uncirculated because that is what the banks and ultimately Iraq is coveting, because they don't have a printing press. They don't have a Federal Reserve like we do to print finite amount of dollars. And during the war, my intel contact and several of my military friends have already confirmed this, and I'm sure Frank on the chat room can attest to this as a military man himself, blah, blah, blah. They were giving a lot of the soldiers, our soldiers were trading dollars for dinar because the perception is that the dollar is so valuable, and they didn't realize what they had, so they were giving it away. I mean, literally, their citizens, Brando, are going into like a, whatever they call their convenience stores, with a wheelbarrow of their currency to buy goat's milk and bread. That's literally the situation they're in right now. Obviously, that's about to change, but that's the situation they're in. So they only have a finite amount of their currency. You also have a country, this is something we never talked about, but I looked it up. It's on, people can Google it, so I'm not making this up. They have a population of roughly 40 million people. Can you guess, Brando, what the age range of the country is, like the most common age of the average citizen there is?
Yeah, I can. I would guess, if it was me, between 18 and 26.
You're exactly right. Roughly 60% of the population are millennials.
Mr. Brando's right.
Mr. Brando. So you're going to have a lot of kids, driving around the sand dunes and with quite a bit of nice chariots.
Okay, but John, what does that sound like? Does that sound like Qatar or does that sound like Kuwait?
Sounds like Kuwait and UAE to me.
And
I've said this widely in my circle that I think Iraq. I'm going to make a bold proclamation, which I don't personally think that's that bold, and I'd like your opinion on it, Brando. I think that Iraq is going to be the next UAE. Except the UAE, their main trait is their Shah, or their prince, I should say. They are UAE. I've had friends, travel over there to Dubai. They're known for their natural gas pipelines. That's their big commodity. Iraq has, crap tons of oil, precious minerals, diamonds, rubies, sapphires, lots of things, intangibles people don't know about. So Iraq, I think, is going to be one of, if not the richest country in the world when it's fully developed. I actually want to buy some property there, post-RV, sit on it, and let somebody make me an offer, just like you would do here in America. Because quite honestly, I think the real estate over there is going to be way more valuable than real estate over here in America when the economy completely tanks and the housing market goes to its true value.
And if you've looked at their reports, like their EBT reports, housing is a major
EBT?
We'll talk, not EBT, it's the BTI report. I'm sorry, EBT. BTI report, housing is a major cost for them. And they have two coasts. So it's a lot of lakefront property. It's a lot of tourism go on there. They're thinking about, I think in the next couple of days, they're about to launch the next biggest water park somewhere around there. So there's some huge things that are going on.
Oh yeah, and you got to think about it. The troops that are going to stay behind there, that the president doesn't pull out, are going to probably be permanent expats. So you got actual Americans living there. They're not going to want to live in third world conditions. They're going to want to live what they're accustomed to over here. So Iraq is not going to have the fighting and infighting and turmoil that they've been accustomed to. It's a whole new era. God is ushering in a whole new era. Well, that's what I was saying before. You have to consider the environmental and geopolitical ramifications of this beyond the finances. It's going to affect the way they live in a much more positive direction. They're going to go from a third world country to what they always should have been, which is a first world country.
Which is called a rentier government to a donor government. And hold on.
Yeah.
Someone said, I said don't exchange the rupiah. I never said that. I said don't exchange the real. The real is a bad thing. Stay away from it until sanctions are removed. I heard some of the printing plates got stolen. Vivian, I don't know that.
Sylvie wants to see the dog. Sylvie, go out to the community tab. I posted it yesterday. Picture of good old Daisy with dread.
You got John on here and Miss BB, and you want to see damn Daisy. And I've been scratching it. Here, Daisy.
Attention so well.
Daisy's gonna get her own fan page. I swear. If 5,000 of you right now go on there and request Daisy as a fan page, I'll record Daisy all day.
Just go look at that community tab.
She is a mean little shit. I mean, shoot.
That's enough to turn you off right there.
Let me tell that woman in the chat room, Dixie ain't paying her bills.
Exactly. John knows. Hey, John, is HSBC a private bank?
No, HSBC is one of the bigger banks. It's probably one of the top 10 banks in the country.
It used to be Household Bank.
Right, and now it's what?
Right.
Chinese owned?
It's Chinese owned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why they came up with the acronym.
John.
Go ahead, John.
Stop, Daisy.
Well, no, I wanted to just tell you guys a big shift since we're talking about banks. I think we covered it the other night, but since people are curious about banks, Wells Fargo was 62% Chinese owned. They're now taken over by the Federal Reserve under the president at roughly, I think, 51% or so. So it's now U.S. owned. That's part of the concession the Chinese are making as part of this trade agreement. So that is a significant change.
Well, John, it's exactly 8 o'clock. I said that I was not going to keep you. I know you're in worship. Please thank your contact for taking the time out to talk to us. And again, if you guys want to hear more intel, and we could talk about that later, we are willing to do a different channel for that. But some of the things that John needs to discuss can't be discussed on this channel. If you want to hear news, you want to hear up-to-date IQD stuff, subscribe and share with a friend. But if you want to hear more in-depth stuff, we're talking about opening another channel on what, April BB?
Patreon.
So we'll talk about it. We're not sure on that. But if John wants to do it, we'll do it. I've got to get all my admins and mods in there because it's a team effort. And
well, just don't talk about it too much until we figure it out.
I'm just teasing them.
Right.
John, God bless you, and I hope you have a great evening, okay?
You as well. Thanks, everybody, for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Mr. Carl says, I feel like we are like 1 minute to midnight close to the dinar revalue. It just feels like there's too much going on.
There's a lot going on that's not being said. There's a lot going on that's being said. I hope you guys had a good time tonight. If you guys want to continue the party, me and Mrs. BB are going on our couples channel to do a review about...
We're doing a mukbang.
A mukbang. You guys all hate mukbang, so come over here and criticize us.
Spicy noodle challenge.
Spicy noodles. So you know what? We're going to have some fun. I've given you the news. I've given you intel. I've given you John. I've given you Babe. I've given you Daza. I've given you the world. One thing I can't give you is my wife's energy back. So it's an hour. I promise you only one. And you know what? If you guys want to continue this chat, go ahead, like, subscribe, hit the
bell.
And share if you care.
Have a good night and a good weekend, y'all. TGIF.
Hey.
I'm up out of here.
Guys, have a good one.